Communication and conflict. Jessie, Chloe, Dhruv, and Andy, Team 17. Conflict is a many and varied situation which pervades all levels and forms of business and social interaction. Due to the nature of conflict, its ability to be both constructive, destructive, and somewhat inevitable, conflict management and resolution has become a vital part of organisational research and development. In order to understand how to best deal with conflict, it's important to know what conflict is and the ways in which it can operate. According to Dhruv, conflict can occur within an organisation at 4 levels. These are intrapersonal, group, intergroup, and interorganisational. In the same way that the nature of conflict is varied, so are conflict management styles. These interpersonal styles refer to the way in which different individuals deal with conflict. These styles include problem solving, avoiding, forcing, yielding, and compromising. Our study will be focusing on the problem solving style and the benefits of working within a win-win frame. Conflict resolution. The first model we will examine in conflict resolution is the Church and Marx metataxonomy model. Metataxonomy refers to a model that encompasses all other models, i.e., its implications are overarching and universally applicable. The model can be broken down into 2 key components, activeness and agreeableness. Activeness refers to the extent of assertion and expression of opinion from an individual in a conflict. The agreeableness component refers to the attempt to satisfy all parties involved in coming up with a resolution to the conflict. A case study performed by several German academics aimed to find a correlation between conflict resolution and its effects on innovation. Through surveying and categorizing 152 German researchers into several categories based on the dual concern model, the researchers found conclusive evidence on the performance of individuals who employed certain characteristics that align with the Church and Marx metataxonomy model. The Thomas Kilmann conflict mode instrument assesses an individual's behaviour in conflict situations. We can describe a person's behaviour along 2 basic dimensions: assertiveness, the extent to which the individual attempts to satisfy his or her own concerns, and cooperativeness, the extent to which the individual attempts to satisfy the other person's concerns. These 2 dimensions of behaviour can be used to define 5 methods of dealing with conflict. The following diagram defines 5 different modes for responding to conflict situations. Competing means you take on a wholly assertive and uncooperative approach to resolving the conflict. This win-lose approach is when an individual pursues his own concerns over the other person's expense. Collaborating is both assertive and cooperative. It involves an attempt to work with others and find some solution that fully satisfies their concerns, resulting in a win-win situation. Compromising is at the centre of the model because it is both assertive and cooperative, but only to some extent. This is the lose-lose scenario where neither party really achieves what they want. Avoiding is unassertive and uncooperative, resulting in a lose-lose approach. When avoiding, an individual does not immediately pursue his or her own concerns or those of the other person. Accommodating is an unassertive and cooperative, resulting in a win-lose approach. When accommodating, an individual neglects his or her own needs to satisfy the concerns of the other person. Findings from the study showed that those categorised in the problem-solving category performed the best, with those in the dominating category coming second. From the diagram above, we note that the implications of the study show that conflicts of a project vision or direction and purpose nature are more appropriate for individuals who exhibit a dominating nature. Conversely, detailed-oriented conflicts show better results when a problem-solving approach is used. Despite the study using dual concern approach to categorise the researchers into groups, the findings of the study certainly show parallels between the dual concern approach and the Church and Marx metataxonomy model. The dominating approach is quite similar to the activeness dimension in exhibiting qualities of assertiveness and the pursuit of a personal opinion and interest. The problem-solving approach, which advocates the collaboration and integration of all members' ideas, is similar to the agreeableness dimension in the meta-taxonomy model, i.e., both models advocate conflict resolution through satisfying all members of the conflict. Similarly, the aforementioned case study shows parallels between the dual concern approach and Thomas and Kilman model. The dominating approach, as outlined in the case study, draws similarities to the competing approach under the TKL model. In both scenarios, the individual pursues his own concerns at the other person's expense. The problem-solving approach is similar to collaborating under the TKL model, where individuals attempt to work with others to find some solution that fully satisfies their concerns, resulting in a win-win situation. Furthermore, the obliging and avoidance approach draws similarity to TKL's accommodating and avoiding approaches, respectively, and hence the findings of the case study and the different approaches of the TKL model are quite similar in nature. Communication. Effective communication skills are of the utmost importance for any well-structured organisation. Between both verbal and non-verbal communication, however, there are many barriers which can break down an individual's ability to relay information between themselves, the sender, and another, the receiver. There are 4 major issues which can inhibit the exchange of information between a sender and a receiver. These issues are perception, filtering, language problems, and information overload. The Shannon-Weaver model. One of the first models of communication theory is the Shannon-Weaver model. This model, developed by Claude Shannon and Warren Weaver in 1948, has become an incredibly popular model to demonstrate the linear passage of information from a sender to a receiver, while also demonstrating the other factors which are at play during this relay. Factors such as encoding, the channel or noise, and decoding. The success of this model has led to it being labelled the model of all models. However, it is not without its limits. For example, the model is most effective in terms of representing person-to-person communication and fails to successfully represent social and group interactions. It also provides a very simplistic understanding of the incredibly nuanced ways in which humans communicate and fails to address the difference between channel noise and extraneous noise, which may affect the receiver's ability to encode and receive the message. Open-minded discussion and open-mindedness. As previously mentioned, there is a growing trend to acknowledge conflict as having a constructive nature when it's managed appropriately. Results into open-minded discussion are showing the benefit of viewing conflict in constructive terms. In a paper written by Josvold, Wong, and Cheng, they state that an individual's level of open-mindedness can develop to similar levels of open-mindedness expressed by their fellow protagonist. Other findings suggest that this manner of discussion allows individuals to look at several issues simultaneously and to consider them as problems to be solved, allowing free exchange and avoiding win-lose situations. Though the fear theory does suggest that it works best within particular style relationships, the practical implication for this style of problem solving are that they encourage workers to sincerely engage in their position, to research it, understand it, and articulate it, as well as being able to actively listen to, acknowledge, understand, and respond to the information being directed to them from their fellow protagonist. In terms of developing mutual benefit relationships, conflict researchers have found that protagonists' commitment to promoting each other's outcomes is a foundation for open-minded discussion. These findings indicate that to strengthen conflict management capabilities, protagonists should be aware of how the conflict can be resolved in ways that promote their own interests, the interests of others, and perhaps, most importantly, the two simultaneously. Thank you for listening to our presentation.